going to the city to do your shopping, something banal and everyday for most people. However, on rainy days in Guatemala, this is not the case.
Ay Dios, es difícil, sé, porque cuando llueve ya no podemos salir, se quedan los carros.
Marta and Alberto's village is 30 kilometers away. It's not far, but it takes a long time, especially if you're holding on by a finger. The windscreen wipers work temperamentally, but that's not the only problem that they face.
¿Es normal que se siente la gasolina?
Sí.
No. Es que se botó. Se botó, prendió aquí. Boté un poquito de gasolina aquí.
Ay, me gusta beber la gasolina.
Alberto is at least reassured by something. With the rain, there's no risk of starting a fire. The fuel is diluted. However, the downpour of water is worrying.
Subió al agua, pasó sobre el puente. Si no, se puede quedar atascado allá arriba. Ya no podemos pasar. Ya sería.
On the roads in Guatemala, it's not unusual to see men practicing a strange type of dance. Strange but important. They do it to balance the weight so that the wheels become more stable in the mud. This bus is in a bad state. The brakes are burning white hot.
Piles ese carrito ya regresó, mira. Que soy atravesada, pero ya regresó.
Y hombre, son los que joden mucho el camino porque son muy grandes. Sí. Le hacen.
The slope is not so steep, but 10 tons on an ice rink will surely give you chills.
Lleva abierta el tapón de la gasolina, de la batería.
Now Alberto will have to keep spinning his wheels if he wants to reach the top of the hill.
Ahí es donde las llantas se gastan rápido. ¿Sí? Por eso es que aquí se va rápido la llanta. Mucho piedra, lo pela. Sí. Le pone melón, ¿verdad?
Not very reassuring, as Guatemala is a country of mountains. There are many ravines. According to Alberto, there's much more to fear with the police.
Nosotros trabajamos con estas leyes también, e incluso esto no es permitido, es ilegal ante la policía. Nosotros trabajamos con eso porque a veces nos vamos sin gente. Todavía nosotros le ganamos unos 30, 40 quetzales por tarea en esto. Entonces, si quiere algo, si quiere para la comida, y lo ajustamos para el combustible.
Alberto and his sister pick up all those who can't afford a bus ticket, but there's still a cold sweat surcharge. The passengers fight fear with a remedy that doesn't cost them much.
Realmente, si uno le pone importancia a lo que es el camino, pues también a veces que hay quienes que van con miedo, a veces por los nervios, pues que hay alguien que les molesta esa situación de enfermedades, ¿no? Empiezan con así buscarle manera.
Dar cada momento de la vida.
Ah, vaya, hay que dar cada momento.
Porque no sabemos hasta cuándo podemos estar en estas condiciones.
The Guatemalans are used to saying, tranquilo, tranquilo. Translation, no need to rush, we'll get there. In this Central American country, there is a solution for everything. If there's no more space on a bus, it's not a problem. There's always space on the bumpers and in the aisles. At their own risk and peril, however. Too much merchandise is never a problem. As long as it's in place, everything is fine. For the riders and their horses who drink too much before a race, however...
¿Se bebe la cerveza?
Sí.
It's still not a problem, even if they can't stand up anymore. The shaman gives them protection with a little alcohol. But it's best not to rely on the spell working. Some horses return alone. For the drivers who get stuck, there's always help along the way. And sometimes even a pickup truck. But success is not always guaranteed. And then the smile can disappear. The angry man is soon comforted with a tranquilo. When one of the 3 active volcanoes in Guatemala spits lava on the surrounding villages, the Guatemalans still have a solution. An offering to Maximo. Slip him a cigarette and give him a glass of alcohol, and this nationally known saint will make your wishes come true. In Guatemala, they face every problem with a smile.
Vamos a solucionar. Como es nuestro deporte favorito, no nos cuesta mucho.
Getting from one point to another without asking for protection is a bit like driving without brakes, according to José.
Este es nuestro pequeño altar donde tenemos a Cristo Negro, que tengo que tener la bendición de él siempre.
A wise precaution, as return is not always guaranteed.
Ya, aquí empieza el camino malo. Aquí ya vamos a ver.
José left at 3 a.m. He goes to refuel at the grocery store in a small village 120 kilometers away. But 120 kilometers of mountains and tracks is a minimum of 18 hours of travel.
De toda el agua que baja a causa de que la tierra se afloje. y en cierto tiempo, ya después de tanta agua que acumula, se venga a la tierra, ¿va? Entonces hay derrumbes.
The rainy season lasts until December. The floods can be devastating.
Casa desaparecida de una vez. Algunas salieron, pero las que vivían del otro lado, en el otro pedazo, esos ya no pudieron salir. 2 familias, 8 personas muertas. Se tapó de una vez todo. Ya no había paso. Miedo han de tener, pero como es construcción, su casa no la pueden dejar. Patrimonio para sus hijos.
It doesn't look like it, but this is a national track, one with a cruising speed between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour.
Es una carretera muy transitada. Sale toda la gente que viene de Panzós. No a todos, pero sí en la carretera uno hace amigos porque nunca sabe en qué momento va a necesitar uno o otro. Yo me quedo atascado, él necesita pasar, viene, me ayuda, me saca, espero que él pase, si pasó bien, pues nos vamos, y si no, lo ayudo a que salga. Pues tú me ayudas, yo te ayudo.
Everyone progresses at their own pace, depending on the state of the road. Help between drivers is a matter of courtesy. But help from anywhere else comes at a price. This traffic jam means that Jose will have to pay if he gets stuck here. If there aren't enough helping hands, the inhabitants of the neighbouring village pay for the services of their bulldozer. There is even an operations supervisor.
Acudí con el gobierno porque no nos ponen atención, no nos prestan atención. Por lo tanto, tenemos que ver de qué forma nosotros mismos arreglar la carretera con nuestros propios dineros. Estamos haciéndolo porque de otra forma no se puede. Estamos apuntando lo que están colaborando para igual se les da un recibo para una contraseña de los que están colaborando con todos nosotros.
Strangely enough, the bulldozer never levels out the quagmire. It's just there to take the trucks out, and with these 3 tons of cargo, Jose has little chance of passing through.
Ya se había ido, hombre, aquel le aflojó. Estoy bien cargado, está sentado, mira.
€5, the standard price for peace and quiet.
Saca la pala y la piocha mejor, quitémosle, ¿cómo se llama ahí? De ahí no voy a sacar. No, mire, si está sentada la Catalina, ¿cómo le voy a dar?
Troubles have only just begun for Jose. It's not an easy road ahead of him. colour of the buses is not simply for decoration. They indicate the destination. This is necessary as 25% of the population cannot read or write. These old American school buses are essential to the country's economy, as, in the countryside, very few people own a car. So if Rudy can't fix his engine, he may encounter some angry passengers.
Un niño iba aquí con nosotros y jaló el cable. Se fueron las luces, el parabrisas y el freno motor.
Y es muy importante.
Ah, sí, porque se le va el freno a uno del pedal, está el freno motor, eso lo detiene a uno. Y las luces, va, porque salimos temprano ya, a las 4 de la mañana y está oscuro, no se mira, se mira la luz.
The locals call them chicken buses because they pile themselves onto them like caged chickens. Who can know if these frozen goods will reach their final destination?
¿Hacer el camino en cuánto tiempo?
5 horas.
5 horas.
5 horas.
Rudy serves Guatemala's most remote village, Carmelita, 80 kilometers into the very heart of the jungle. In Guatemala, the bus drivers transport many who cannot afford to travel. They are, in fact, long-distance transporters, postmen, and even gas station attendants.
Son encomiendas que mandan a traer, no viene la persona, sino que manda a que nosotros le llevemos el combustible. Solo dan pero como allá no hay luz, es un generador de energía, ¿sí? Y también lo usan para las motos, para todos los vehículos, porque como allá no hay gasolineras. Es importante, sí, porque como no hay mucho dinero para viajar, mejor solo mandan a comprar con nosotros.
This here is a street vendor, either very good at balancing objects or enjoys the taste of risk with a get-up like this, but it appears to hold up okay.
Para que apulee bien. Para que entre más gasolina. Ah, sí, porque lo hacemos así porque no.
Leaving Flores is already a challenge in itself. Rudy has dozens of other orders to collect before going into the jungle.
O sea que nosotros transportamos de varios productos, ¿sí? De valor o productos como de consumo diario. Hay que saber, hay que acordarte una porque son bastantes encomiendas.
€5 per trip is not cheap, especially since in Guatemala the average salary is around €430. Rudy speeds for the first 20 kilometers. Indeed, the truck might have a difficult time over the remaining 60 kilometres. It may shake a little, or even a lot. Jose, the truck driver, is attempting to get his truck out of a ditch. He's paid €5 to use the farmer's backhoe loader, but the rope has broken. He's resorted to digging alone. The price did not include the extra help and shovels.
¿Por qué no mejor lo desconecta? Porque no se controla cuando jala aquel y cuando le da.
No, tal vez. Sí, ayúdame a sacar la tierra de abajo, solo yo estoy echando, yo le pagué 50.
Pero eso no tiene que ver, mano. Sí, seguro, aquí saquemos las cosas.
Sí, yo estoy de acuerdo, pero usted me dijo aquí le vamos a echar la mano.
No vamos a discutir.
Eso estoy haciendo, le estoy diciendo, señor, que me eche la mano a sacar la tierra de abajo, eso es lo que le dije.
Muchachos, los que trabajan con nosotros, muchachos, ¿dónde están?
Eso fue lo que yo le dije. Eso fue lo que yo dije.
Fortunately for Jose, a driver has lent him his chain.
Son a las 12:45, vine a las 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 horas y media. ¿Qué cabal? Ahí ya está. Para pasar allá atrás, 50 pagamos. Aquí en Guatemala, de todo se vale. Pero solo un par de días, una semana, 2 semanas, vuelve a llover y otra vez se retoma.
Y otra vez va a pagar.
Otra vez a pagar.
A form of extortion in disguise. Keeping the ditches and holes there has become somewhat of a Guatemala national sport. Why fill them up when they can make money? Improvising as a road mender is a matter of survival for some families.
Dicen que están trabajando ahí para arreglar, pero no solo para pedir dinero nada más.
It's hard to know if this family is digging or filling the holes. It ensures food on the table.
13. Escuela ya sacaste el sexto primario. ¿Sí? Como 3 años más. A las 6, los duros, ¿sí? Por eso estoy trabajando. Si no trabajan, no hay nada. ¿Sí?
Tips are their only income.
¿Cuánto es?
¿Qué tal? Está a pagar el camioneta.
No hay mucho, más como 30 que están nada más o 35. La mitad es mi hijo y la mitad es mi hijo. ¿Sí?
According to a UN report, for every 14 million people, 83% live in poverty and extreme poverty. The descendants of the Mayans are the first to be affected. Hunted and disliked since the Spanish conquest, they've taken refuge in the countryside. The mixed-race white people control the administrations and large farms. As a result of being abandoned by the state, school is often not a priority for the Mayans. Their primary concern is to find something to eat.
Yo todo el tiempo vengo a hacerle. Cuando estaban así, de 10 años, me iba a otras extracciones de leña con mi mamá.
Every day, women and children travel through the forest in search of firewood.
Todavía que nosotros media vez hagamos la leña así tranquila, no hay pena. Cuando andamos así, que andemos así, por lo menos ahorita, mira ese chutero es peligroso.
3 hours later, everyone has their own bundle of wood, even the youngest.
Así. ¿Así? ¿Así? Así que me sirve para juntar el huevo.
Échelo más para arriba. Ustedes saben cómo.
At 10 years old, the intensity of this work is already taking its toll on Pablo's back. It will take him 2 hours to reach his village, but he will walk there without complaint. But this is the least of his problems. At the top of this mountain, at an altitude of 2,500 meters, his nightmare awaits. This is the Pacaya volcano, a monster capable of projecting its ashes as high as 1,500 meters. Its last eruption date was the 6th of June 2018. This volcano never sleeps. Its lava flows often reach the homes of surrounding villages.
Da miedo a veces. Cuando comienza a tirar lava da miedo porque viene por aquí, casi llega ahí de nosotros. Y da miedo.
Aquí vivimos, mire, con el volcán ahí cerquita, mire. Cerquita el volcán, aquí está cerquita. El de cabecera lo tenemos. Dios lo tiene aquí en la palma de la mano. Mire, pues si Dios quiere que el volcán se deshaga de un ratito, aquí nos quedamos enterrados.
To counter the volcano's rage, some people turn to the church. However, others appeal to something a little more unusual. Marta is a shaman. She goes to the market to buy the ingredients necessary for her incantations. This shop would have made Merlin the Enchanter very proud. You can find love elixirs, good luck potions, and even curses for those who believe in them, like Marta. The shaman prices her spells according to each person's income. Marta calls upon an extraordinary character known as Maximon. He's represented by this mannequin. Maximon is the son of a Christian saint and a Mayan god. He represents the spirit of the world. He will solve your problems in exchange for cigarettes and alcohol. But he has nothing to do with local folklore. He is in fact revered throughout the whole of Guatemala.
Voy a presentar el presente acá, presentar las personas y el presente. Sí, va a sentir. Chuja black, chuja tapa, bachanim.
Everyone hopes that Maximon will be able to convince the Pacaya volcano to stay dormant for years to come. Rudy's bus travels year in and year out in the sweaty heat of the jungle. The sun is beating on the sheet metal and it's 35 degrees in the cabin. For 3 hours now, everyone has been subjected to the constant shaking of the road. Rudy himself deals with the rocking of the bus all year round.
Todos los días de la semana. Lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Todos los fines de año, 2 días nomás. Ahí Semana Santa, 2 días también. Unos 4 días al año. 4 días descanso al año. Sí me quedo, pero tiene que buscar a uno. Ahora si no, pues... Bueno, casi no le gusta que yo trabaje aquí. No le gusta. Ajá, no lo miro, solo... Así como ahorita en la tarde que llego, así. Cuando llego, mi hijo juega, yo llego cansado, casi no me da chance.
Not only does driving require a lot of concentration, it's also physically exhausting. And to pump it, Rudy must constantly disengage the engine to slow it down, shift gears again, accelerate and slow down. His bus is on its last legs.
Calientan las fricciones y se van al espacio.
It's taken much longer than the expected 5 hours to reach the most remote village of Guatemala. Fatigue has set in, but Rudy stays on course. In the distant villages of the jungle, life flows slowly. People value their time differently. The bus ride once a week is their only link to the outside world.
Lámina. Sí. Casa voy a hacer aquí, ¿ves? Ah, es importante porque mire, viene lámina, viene cemento, todo.
and many other unusual things. Apart from these goods, there's no other reason to travel here. There's no time to lose. Everyone wants to get home as soon as possible. Discontent against the government is rising as they do nothing to improve the lives of the citizens.
Está el camino todo, sí, como especialmente como para romper carro. Y lamentablemente no le han dado mantenimiento. Esperamos que en estos días o no muy tarde le den mantenimiento, porque si no también va a estar algo, o sea, más duro para viajar todavía. Y es bastante incómodo ya cuando uno llega a su casa ya todo estropeado, todo cansado.
Why does the state leave them abandoned? Most of the jungle's inhabitants are Mayans, and due to the general lack of resources, the government doesn't care about their situation, even though they are the first inhabitants of this land. Hundreds of Mayan descendants can be found all over the country. A few months ago, a huge city was discovered again, its pyramid reaching a height of 30 meters. Every year, the village of Todos Santos celebrates All Saints' Day, their revolt against Spanish invaders. They play the marimbas all day and all night. They go at full speed for 2 days. All the inhabitants of the village wear a symbolic costume. The red represents the blood spilled by their ancestors, and the blue and white of the shirts evoke the spirits of the sky. All the tailors of Todos Santos are hard at work.
Por el momento no tengo tiempo, solo de ver sí, pero estar hablando no. Estoy con ese trabajo para sacar toda la ropa que necesita la gente.
There are so many costumes to cut that many inhabitants have become fashion designers.
También es temporal. Tenemos otros trabajos, pero solo como en estas fechas, en las fiestas, siempre hay más trabajo de esto.
The most courageous, and there are few, decide to take a ride on this Ferris wheel operated by a man with a wrench. It's spinning a little fast, but it seems to be holding up.
Es una máquina que funciona con un motor de camión Isuzu. Usa diésel y frenos de aire. Tiene sus chimbos. Es un aparato muy bien equipado, arreglado. Es divertido, es funny.
But here is the main attraction of this November the 1st celebration, horse racing.
Somos de Calo. Muy conocidas carreras de caballo. Yo sé que
But this is no ordinary horse race. Tradition states that the riders and their horses get drunk for 2 days before competing on an improvised racecourse.
¿Se bebe la cerveza? Sí. ¿Se le gusta?
Sí, le gusta.
The alcohol, the dancing and the loud music of the marimbas gradually sends the riders into a trance. The musicians follow them, but the dancers remain on the dance floor. The fireworks do not mark the end of the evening, quite the contrary. The next morning, the musicians are still performing, but the riders, however, are a little worse for wear. I'm not sure he's up for the race.
No quitamos la ¿sabes por qué? Por estar borracho, ¿no?
One last small sip of alcohol is offered to the riders. But this time, if it is spit out by the shaman, it provides them with protection. So why all this drinking before the race? According to urban legend, a village drunkard reportedly stole a conquistador's horse and wreaked havoc. He taunted the Spaniards for hours by galloping around the city.
You know, today that's my first time. That's my first time. No scare. Yeah, a little bit.
Although the circular track is 200 metres, the riders will loop it without a break for 8 hours. The race kills 2 people every year, but according to the inhabitants of Todos Santos, death is synonymous with an abundant harvest. This year, there were only injuries. The last rider who stays in his saddle will earn his part of the legend. On the tracks, there is someone else who's also drunk, but unlike the inhabitants of Todos Santos, Jose is drunk from fatigue. He's been driving for 18 hours straight. And he has to dodge obstacles along the way. The last rock that fell took with it an entire truck wagon. One moment of distraction and Jose would find himself in a ravine or in the same state as the truck. The driver drove into a hole that broke his rear axle right off.
Y me llamaron ayer en la noche y hasta hoy nos venimos de madrugada. Pero ahorita lo vamos a solucionar. Como es nuestro deporte favorito, no nos cuesta mucho.
The good attitude doesn't work every time. They still got stuck for 2 days in the middle of the track. After 20 hours of driving, Jose finally arrives at his destination.
Ya. Él tiene la tienda para vender el producto a la gente de aquí de su comunidad, ¿va? Y si no vengo yo, viene otro y ya me ganó el dinero.
Without a moment's rest, Jose is back on the road. The driver cannot afford to miss an order. Another load is waiting for him. In the jungle, Rudy also fights against fatigue. The passengers have started to feel better. The driver has been driving for 7 hours now. That's 2 more than expected. Only in the jungle do the hours start to feel much longer. So now when he can, he follows one delivery after another without even stopping the bus. Even though he works in the family business, this way of life is starting to take its toll on him.
No sé, de repente lo vende a mi papá, de repente algo trabajo mejor. Yo aquí estoy trabajando bien, va, porque como aparte del sueldo, los 3,000 quetzales, mi papá siempre me da 200, me da 500, se viene me lo regala. Más o menos voy emparejando 4,000.
8 hours later, he finally hands over to another driver. The journey is far from over.
Aquí me voy a quedar. Aquí llego nomás.
His father is here to make sure everything is okay.
Está un poco duro, ¿va? Pero como no hay otro trabajo, ¿va? Entonces, que mejor es que salga porque gracias a Dios.
Rudy's brother, Julio, gets into the driver's seat, even though he's only 17 years old.
Oiga, no, todavía, pero no me animo a manejar hasta eso. Que primero sí, daba miedo que ir a la calle, pero no.
Well, in the middle of the night, in the heart of the jungle, Julio has little chance of running into the police.
Solo dar vuelta y parqueo aquí.
Ahí te duermes.
Sí, ahí parqueo y me duermo. Esperar el horario mañana temprano. A las 4 me levanto, me alisto, me lavo, chequeo el motor, todas las llantas y ahí me voy. 4:30. Mañana a esta hora.
The bus has taken 10 hours to run only 80 kilometers. No matter how hard it gets or how much trouble the Guatemalans are in, they're not discouraged. Their credo is to never get angry and keep saying the magic word, tranquilo. There will always be a solution.